Okay, good day class. Today we will focus on one of the most important parts of your research or your thesis, which is the chapter 3 or the research methodology. So understanding this chapter is about understanding the execution plan you're going to do or you're going to make in line with your research. If chapter 2 is your foundation, then chapter 3 is the blueprint of your study, or it's the execution plan of your study. So what we will cover today is to understand the purpose of your of chapter 3, identify the standard format, write each section properly, align methodology with problem. So let me simplify this. Chapter 3 explains how your study was designed, how or who your respondents are, what tools are you going to use, how you will gather your data, how will you analyze your data. So in simple terms, chapter 3 is the how of your research. So what is chapter 3? In a simple analogy, think of your research like a building a house. So chapter 1 is the idea, chapter 2 is the materials and background of the whole manuscript or the whole house. Chapter 3 is the blueprint or the construction process. So if you have a blueprint, it must be correct kasi if your blueprint is wrong, then magko-collapse ang bahay ninyo. So let's start with the format. So before writing anything, you must first understand the correct format, because a format is not optional. It is required. So in our institution, we have two types of research, particularly for your program. We have the basic research and the applied research. So under the basic research, yan yung mga research na you are not going to develop a particular app, but you will be gathering information in order for you to contribute to the body of knowledge. While dito naman sa applied research is you directly determine the problem and provide and develop a solution, and that particular solution should contribute to the betterment of the whole process or the problems that you're going to address. So specifically, it is a solution in order for you to target a specific problem wherein dito natin titingnan if this solution is effective or not, and if it is effective, it can be considered as a backyard study wherein we can develop or reproduce para naman mas ma-benefit hindi lang within your institution, but you can also offer a solution to the other institution or to the community. You can give it back to the community para mas magamit nila yung solution na pinopropose natin. So for most of you doing the academic studies, balik tayo sa basic research, follow this structure. Ano yung format natin? For the basic research, ito siya. So we have the research design, we have the sources of data, we have the population and locale of the study, we have the research instrument, we have the validity and reliability, the data gathering procedures, the statistical tools for data analysis, and the ethical considerations. So this is the basic format for a basic research, wherein some of this format applicable din siya sa applied research. So for basic research, this is your specific structure for our institution. Different institution has their different format din. May respective format ang mga institution. So magkakaiba-iba yan. So in our institution, this is your default structure. Okay, so if your study involves system or a project, then magkakaroon kayo ng dalawang parts for the chapter 3 for the applied research. This is the research requirement and the project requirement. So your chapter 3 it becomes more longer and more technical if your study is an applied research. So, ulitin natin, when we talk about the applied research, it is about you developing a particular solution to address a specific problem na malalaman nyo rin at the first part of your research, and that particular problem will be your basis in producing or conceptualizing the features of your proposed app. So, yun yung pagkakaiba ng dalawa. For applied research, you have two parts. This is the research requirement. And second part is the project requirement. So, as we can see with the basic research, almost the same din lang siya. But the difference is the second format or the second parts of your chapter 3 for the applied research is the research, project research requirement natin. So, in this case, if you combine the two parts, for the chapter 4, you will have a combination of a case analysis, a descriptive and a quantitative type of research. Kasi sa part ng testing, you will also be presenting it as a quantitative, yet may parts naman dyan na you have to present yung mga different pictures and documentations na nagather nyo during the testing phase of your developed projects. Okay? So, for the basic research, ito yung pinaka most common na kailangan natin pag-aralan. We have 8 parts. So, both for the applied and the basic research, you have these 8 parts. But for the applied, may second part siya, which is the project requirements. So, for each section, i-detail ko ang lecture natin sa mga next video natin for specific parts na ito, itong 8 ito. But now, I will like to discuss first about the format para mas maintindihan natin yung difference of the two types of research na sa tingin ko applied ngayon for most of the approved titles din natin. Okay? Next is for the data gathering procedure. I would like to emphasize about the different or the chronological steps on how to gather responses. So, dito kasi actually dito sa data gathering procedure, pag tapos na natin ang collection, most of the time, past tense na siya. Pero pag i-present nyo pa siya sa proposal, pwedeng past tense na if nagawa nyo na siya. Pero pwede pa rin siyang present tense or future tense if you're going to consider doing it sa una bago ninyo identify mga different problems. Pero this past tense part is typically applicable for the applied research kasi you are solving a problem, so maybe you first identify the problem if kaya na natin. If hindi pa, pwede pa namang maging present tense pa rin siya. Okay? So, it is a chronological and written in a past tense form or a present future tense form describing exactly what was done in the order it happened. So, particularly, validation of your instrument, the data collection, the permission and approval and retrieval of the organization, ang laman ng data gathering procedure natin. Do not be confused with the different parts of your research like instrument validation, data collection. Maybe yung format natin has that. Pero ito kasi si data gathering procedure, ito yung different steps or the plan that you're going to do in order for you to gather answers out of the problems na gusto nating i-conduct. So, nakalagay dyan yung mga validations of the questionnaire. If the questionnaire is modified, then i-float natin siya sa mga different experts for them to validate the instrument. May mga lecture din tayo regarding the validity and reliability of the instrument para mas detailed. Then, the data collection, para siyang plan or written steps on how you understand a particular problem sa study natin or how you will solve a particular problem sa study ninyo. Okay? So, dito, we will also be including the different permissions and approval. Kung proposal, kailangan ba, Doc? Mayroon na yan. Yes, kasi you are proposing something. So, if without the approval and permission of a particular groups or institution, I don't think you can gather answers or you can distribute survey sa mga respondents ninyo, which is ito lagi ang nangyayari pag nagpo-proposal sila. They seem to give us an answer na positive, that they can gather answers, they can gather they can distribute the questionnaire to those they believe na makakatulong sa study nila, particularly the respondents of their study, pero wala pa pala. So I suggest and encourage you to first seek permission and approval of a particular locale of the study or respondents of the study, para pag magfo-float na kayo ng questionnaire, you will not encounter problems of being rejected because of confidentiality. May mga ganun kasi. So that's why in this part, sinabi dyan sa una that your data gathering procedure should be written in past tense, because some permission should be asked first before you propose a particular study, particularly if your study is also a applied research or a basic research. So depende pa rin dyan sa inyo. Minsan future attend siya kasi may mga respondents naman na we can gather anytime, we can survey, we can distribute questionnaire to them na hindi naman pahirapan sa paghahanap ng mga respondents, or hindi naman pahirapan to let them answer the questionnaire. May mga institution lang kasi or group of individual who prefer na magkaroon muna ng prior permission and approval before they will answer your questionnaire. That is also in accordance with the ethical considerations. So it's very particular, and I encourage you that you will have first the permission and approval before you propose your chapters 1 to 3 para wala tayong problema later on. Which is, ano ba yung mga magiging problema, Doc? Pwedeng ma-reject yung buong study natin and you will propose another title, which is it will cost you a lot of time. Uulitin natin yung subject pagdating sa ganun. Or kung hindi man, mahihirapan na naman tayo to shift from one locale of the study to another. So it will take time. So yun yung mga possibility na mangyayari if there's no permission from your targeted respondents of your study. Next is for the retrieval and organization. We would like to clarify that in terms of the retrieval and organizations, yun yung mga we have to follow kasi yung mga ibang institution that they are giving data one month pa, may mga ganun. So, dapat you have to decide as a group. So, i-discuss din natin sa mga different parts nito on how to do that. We have to decide kung anong type of retrieval process ang gagamitin ng study ninyo. Ano ba yon? Pagkabigay nyo ba, the group decided na kailangan hintayin ba nila yon? Kaya lang kasi may mga institution that they allow retrieval of the instrument after a week, may mga ganon. Pag sa testing naman ng mga expert, kailangan naka-align yan sa kung kailan yung availability nila, availability of the facilities na gagamitin. So, dun yung mga different considerations when we talk about data gathering procedures. Okay? So, next natin, the core section, which is the design, the participants or the respondents, and the instrument. When we talk about participants na word per se, when we are dealing with the basic research, yan yung mga qualitative. Pero when it comes to the applied research kasi, dalawa ang ginagamit nyo dyan. For the experts and those who will test your app or develop project, participants ang tawag sa kanila. If you're going to experiment also, your particular project, participants ang appropriate term for them na for you to use to identify those particular group of respondents that you have. Ginagamit ang term na respondents naman for the basic research if your study is a quantitative research. Ginagamit naman yung term na participants if your study is a qualitative research. Okay, so dito for the core section of your chapter 3, ito yung pinaka-main kasi na crucial. Okay? So, for the research design, later on, may mga ipopost din tayong mga videos about the different parts na yan. So, dito muna, for the format, let's make it simple. When we talk about the methodology, this is the approach. Okay? When we talk about the design, ito naman yung plan. So, magkaiba ang design and methodology natin. Methodology, why? This is the approach that you're going to adopt. An example nun. So, the design of the study for me, for example, your study sa basic research. So, ang gusto kong design of the study or ang gusto naming design ng study is magfo-float kami ng questionnaire. So, if that's the case, with the use of the questionnaire, then that is a quantitative. But, what specific approach am I going to use? Yun, andyan yung descriptive, experimental, or correlational. So, defining it with a citation and justify why it is fit for your study. So, dito, may mga prepare tayong video for that na individual na i-detail natin how to do it. Okay? So, let's make it simple when it comes to your for this section, methodology. Considering methodology, why this approach is appropriate in your study. In terms of design, what type of study are you going to conduct? Yung sinabi natin kanina, kung quantitative, qualitative, or a mixed method. Okay, when we talk about method naman, how you collect and analyze specific data. So, magkaiba yung tatlo. Tandaan natin, when we say design, that is a plan. When we say a method, that is the approach or the execution. So, the method and the design, it is under research methodology. Okay? Yun yung pagkakaiba ng dalawa. Okay? So, dito naman yung binabanggit ko kanina when it comes to validity and reliability. Your questionnaire, pag self-made or researcher-made, modified, ginather from the different books, you ask questions from the other people at nakabuo kayo ng instrument ninyo or a questionnaire. Yung instrument na sinasabi ko, yun yung questionnaire or interview guide. So, kailangan nyo ipa-validate yan to experts. Okay, at least 7 experts for the instrument to make it valid. Kasi yung kanilang mga perceptions, yan yung tag nito, yan yung magagamit natin for the questionnaire. Kung makikita natin if your instrument is okay na siya for survey. Tandaan natin that when an instrument is valid, therefore, it is reliable. But when the instrument is reliable, hindi ibig sabihin nun, valid na siya. Okay? For the reliability kasi, ang tinitingnan natin dyan, yung consistency of the included information doon sa instrument ninyo. Kung kaya ba niyang ma-measure a specific problem. And it is commonly used or it is commonly assessed using a Cronbach alpha. Okay? So, in our institution, we have to seek permission first with your advisor, your institution, para ma-approve yung ating instrument. Then, doon na kayo, pag okay na siya, then, magkakandak na tayo ng instrument validation sa mga experts natin. Kailangan, before kayo mag-conduct ng validation sa mga instrument natin with the experts, make sure natin that all the content of your instrument is applicable or accepted by a specific group of people na talagang masasabi natin they are the one na talagang makakapagsabi na tama yung mga in-include natin. For example, your study is more on the mental stress or anything about psychological. So, the right person na makakapag-approve lang kung tama yung mga nilagay natin, syempre yung mga guidance counselor natin sa school. So, you have to ask them first if the instrument talagang appropriate to be used to a particular group of person who maybe experiencing some psychological problem, parang ganon, okay? Then, pag validated na siya, then, i-distribute nyo yung instrument ninyo sa mga respondents ninyo, then, i-retrieve nyo na and i-prepare nyo na siya sa raw data for chapter 4. So, bago mangyari ito, after your proposal or before your proposal, kailangan may mga instrument na tayo na nakaprepare. Then, bago natin siya payagan for distribution of the questionnaire or data gathering procedure na tayo, which is for the chapter 4 and 5, kailangan mo nang pumasa siya sa thesis 1 natin. Thesis 1 includes also the approval of the REC or the Research Ethics Committee. So, may mga format tayo dyan. Kailangan natin i-follow yung mga different format and different forms na intended for the ethical consideration of your manuscript, particularly the respondents, the instrument na gagamitin natin. Okay? Tandaan natin that in terms of your research, we have research design is your blueprint. Tandaan natin yan. It's the blueprint. So, pag hindi okay ang blueprint, magko-collapse ang ating bahay or baka hindi pwedeng i-research or it's not your instrument or your thesis is not researchable. Mag-fail siya doon, then magba-back to zero tayo. You have to go back to the basic, which is the title. Then, i-build nyo siya ulit based on the different format of the research. But, you really need to talk with your members kung tama ba siya, appropriate ba siya. That's why you have your advisor. You also have your instructor. Pwede kayong mag-guide in terms of giving you an idea on what is the different parts of your manuscript. And at the same time, sa mga advisors naman is to give you a guidance and all throughout the process of your research. So, pwede din naman tayong pumunta sa amin, sa RPDO, para to give or to seek guidance kung tama ba yung flow na ginagawa natin when it comes to our manuscript. Okay? So, next natin is the statistical tools. So, dito sa statistical tools, it is the different tools that you're going to use sa study natin. So, tandaan natin, choosing your statistical tool based on your research questions is very crucial. So, itong pinapakita ko dito, ang ginagamit majority ito, most commonly ginagamit sa institution natin. Most of the statement of the problem. Tandaan natin, when we are going to decide what particular tools are going that you're going to use in your study, you have to consider the statement of the problem. So, tandaan natin, let me make this very clear that when we talk about quantitative, we are dealing with numbers, we are dealing with measurements and statistics. So, yung nakikita nyo sa screen niyo are the different measurements and statistics appropriate for a quantitative research. For a qualitative research naman, the statistical tools that you're going to use is thematic. Ano ba yung thematic natin na sinasabi? It is more on words, more on experience, and transcribing the meaning of the words and experiences na sinabi ng ating mga participants. Sinabi, so ibig sabihin you're going to conduct an interview. Okay, so walang table for qualitative. For quantitative, ito nakikita nyo sa screens are the different measurements and statistics that you're going to use and consider when we talk about your study. So, tandaan natin, the golden rule when it comes to choosing the statistical tools, pag may how many dyan or level, degree, extent, quantitative yun. Okay? Pero kung ang tinatanong natin is why and how, qualitative siya. Okay? So, pag qualitative, you only have the words, the experience, and transcribe the meaning. While for quantitative, you have the instrument, you have the number, you have the extent, you have the level, you have the measurement, and these are the different statistics na gagamitin natin. Sa statistical tool to ha, na part. So, magdi-decide kayo kung alin dyan. And we have a different lecture about this. Okay? Next, Ito naman is about statistical tools again and ethical consideration. Ito yung sinasabi nating ethical considerations. Informed consent, doon sa questionnaire ninyo, dapat makikita na natin, first part of your instrument, whether it is a structured interview or a checklist questionnaire, there should be an informed consent. So, may format naman tayo when it comes to the informed consent. So, you may approach the RPDO to get the specific format. That particular informed consent should have the confidentiality, should have the discussion about voluntary participation, discussion about data privacy, and lahat yan, ipipresent nyo sa ating REC Committee for Ethical Clearance. For the ethical clearance, hindi tayo pwede mag-proceed for chapter 2 hindi tayo pwede mag-proceed sa thesis 2 if we don't have the specific ethical clearance. It should be checked and signed by your dean or the RDC, the scientific committee of the REC, and the REC chairman. Magkaiba ang REC at RPDO ha, hindi yan iisa. Research department is separate from the ethical committee department. Okay? They are the one who check and validate if yung mga applied research natin will not include the human participants. So, madali nyo na lang mapapa-approve yung ethical consent natin. Okay? So, ito. Ito yung mga different meanings about the ethical consideration. 5 yan. So, you have to discuss the 5. May questions din kaming nilagay para mas madali nyo nang i-present ang ethical consideration of your manuscript. It was already included in the form dun sa QR code. So, andun sa QR code lahat ng mga different forms and formats and templates na meron tayo. We have all the templates there. Ang gagawin nyo lang is, babaguhin nyo lang yung mga title siguro doon. So, format na siya. Okay? Next. Yan. So, ito naman, i-detailed ko ang applied research. Saglit lang ha. Applied research. Okay, for the applied research nyo naman, we have the project research requirement natin. Okay? So, since na-discuss na natin yung format the same as the basic research, part 2 of applied research includes the materials to be used, the project operation, the project testing, and the project application. So, we have here the parang case analysis wherein you may include the level of acceptability, the different features of your project, the different parts of your developed app. So, andito lahat siya. So, may testing phase siya. Sa testing phase, nakalagay dyan yung before and after na parts na nilalagay natin sa chapter 4. Before, ito yung testing 1. Before, meron siyang ganitong feature. Then, afterwards, based on the collaborative suggestions and comments of the expert, we came up with having this one. So, andito naman yung part na na-improve na siya. So, those parts are included under the project research requirements natin. Okay? So, for applied research, gumagamit tayo ng ISO. Again, for the ISO, we have already the ISO IEC template na questionnaire, but you can modify its content based on your study. So, once modified, again, ipapavalidate natin siya. Okay? Next, dito tayo. Yun, the research requirement, again, for the applied research also includes the design, your participants, your evaluation instrument, from the experts to the acceptability of your users, then data gathering procedures, statistical tools, and the ethical considerations like mga NDA, kailangan may na-provide na kayong mga ganon. Okay? And for the chapter 1 to 3, you have to provide us the walkthrough. Sana yon. Ito, to walkthrough. Yan. Project application. So, you are proposing something hindi pa pwedeng baka ang gawin nyo na you have to magdadala na kayo sa amin ng mga projects. Hindi pa. You have to present us the walkthrough or the interface. Makikita na namin. From your presentation, makikita na namin ano yung gusto nyong i-propose. Ano yung gusto nyong mangyari. So, is it feasible? Is it viable? Diba? Is it, this particular app can help to solve the problem. So, if those are the considerations na pwedeng tanungin during your presentation. But, it doesn't necessarily mean na gagawa na kaagad kayo ng project. Kasi, they will also be proposing some concept na pwede natin idagdag dun sa developed projects ninyo. Development na pinopropose ninyo. So, ibig sabihin, dun sa walkthrough na yan, it's either a video or a prototype, pero it doesn't necessarily mean na yung prototype natin will cost a lot. Pwede yung prototype ninyo pa-drawing lang natin para at least you give us the conceptualization of your idea para makita namin ano yung gusto nyo i-propose. And from there, the panel will deliberate if pwede na siya or may mga pwede pa natin i-include na mga programs or app dun sa pinopropose natin. Again, when we talk about your developed app, it doesn't necessarily mean na when it comes to chapter 1 to 3, mayroon na kayong daladalang project na tapos na. Hindi ibig sabihin ganon. Kailangan walkthrough muna kasi what if hindi pala siya feasible, 'di ba? So magka-come up tayo ulit sa panibagong redirection of your title and your proposal. So dapat walkthrough lang muna siya. Okay? Wala pa tayong applied or wala pa tayong final project na dadalhin natin. Okay? Next. Yan. So, ito. System Evaluation Standards. Dito na papasok yung tinatawag nating ISO, IEC 25010. So, we have that particular instrument. You can modify. So, pero when you modify it based on your proposal, ibig sabihin, kailangan nyo rin na ipa-validate ulit yun kasi na-modify ninyo yung content. Okay? Next, you have to prepare the Gantt chart from phase 1 to phase 5. Okay? Dito sa Gantt chart, you may also consider the design, science, research methodology setup para mas applicable sa study natin. Okay? Dito sa planning kasi, it's not about planning. It's more on identifying the problems. So, you may consider the design, science, research methodology dyan sa part na yan. Okay? So, tandaan natin, the alignment principle of your study. Tandaan natin na when we say design, it should always be planned well. Kasi, if your research design is wrong, everything else becomes wrong. Okay? So, your chapter 3 is not just a requirement part of your thesis. It is your defense foundation. Babalikan natin the different methodological part dito sa chapter 3 should always be aligned with your chapter 1 and i-validate natin siya with the gap naman under chapter 2. Okay? So, in this part, tandaan natin, if your research design or research methodology as a whole or chapter 3 as a whole is wrong, everything else becomes wrong. So, chapter 3 is not just a requirement, it is your blueprint or your defense foundation. Okay, so these are the takeaways for this lesson. A strong methodology produces credible and defensible results. So, for you to avoid errors, misalignment of your statistical tools or missing justification or no validity and reliability evidence makes your foundation or defense foundation weak. So, align everything from your problem, your variables, your instrument na gagamitin natin should be traceable and dapat may connection siya sa bawat isa. For example, your SOP number 1, connected siya sa, nakalagay sa instrument, nakalagay sa lokal, nakalagay sa sources of data, nakalagay sa research population, nakalagay dun sa instrument ninyo. So, lahat yon may alignment. So, align everything para hindi tayo magkaroon ng wrong or weak research methodology or chapter 3. Defend your choices. So, every decision in your methodology should be justifiable, not just to your advisor but to any informed reviewers, because pag uupo tayo sa defense, hindi si advisor nyo lang ang nakaupo doon or hindi lang yung instructor nyo nakaupo doon. We are inviting external panelists to sit down para ma-align natin lahat. So, dito dapat alam natin i-defend kung ano yung mga ginamit natin. Hindi pwedeng magtanong lang tayo sa AI kung ano yung gagamitin and that's it. You have to make sure na yung mga generate from the command or prompt na ginamit niyo from sa AI para maka-generate siya is may alignment talaga from your chapter 1 and your chapter 2 and specifically for chapter 3. Kasi ang tinitingnan namin dyan lagi, theory, concept, gap, SOP. Tapos pupunta kami ng chapter 2, baka may nakita kami dong mga variables na ginamit ng mga different researchers. So, identifying the gap, baka pwedeng dito mag-focus. Tignan namin pag-focus yan. Then, babalikan namin si SOP, pupunta kami sa chapter 5, chapter 3. Iko-connect natin yan. Now, doon pa lang magkakaroon ng defense sa part ninyo na i-justify nyo why this particular part of chapter 3 is appropriate na gamitin sa study ninyo. Okay? So, yun yung different format for chapter 3. Then, for the succeeding videos, ipipresent naman natin yung mga parts like, for example, research design. We have the quantitative. May 4 kasing types yun. So, I'll be discussing when to use, how to use, and why it is appropriate to be used in a particular study. So, mga ganon. Medyo mahaba-haba. But, since we don't have enough time, because mga nangyayari ba, I hope I can give you a lecture kasi hindi ko lang pwedeng ibigay yung mga lectures ko before. Kasi although pare-pareho siya, ngayon kasi we are being guided by mga AI. So I want also to give you an idea kung bakit ito pwedeng gamitin para at least you can have the decision kung tama ba yung generate ni AI for you. Parang ganun, okay? So that's it for today's lesson. I hope to see you dun sa susunod nating mga lectures. Okay, bye!